Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Star Wars Truth Man number 692 here, and this is my very first YouTube video, and let me just say, I am fed up. I am so fed up with people not understanding the truth about the most popular sci-fi franchise ever, so I made this video to properly educate everyone on the matter. Because you all have been lied to, and I want to set the record straight right here, right now. You've been lied to for so long, I can't take it anymore. Now, before I begin, I want to be very clear before I say everything. This is not a troll video. This is not meant to be brushed off as a joke. I am 100% very serious about everything I will say in this video, and I will happily die for everything I'll say in this video. Also, before I begin, spoilers for Star Wars The Clone Wars cartoon for anyone who hasn't made it very far in yet. Alright, let's begin. Now, the gentleman you see right here is a Jedi named Pong Krell. Pong Krell was the quote-unquote villain of the Umbara arc of that show. During said arc, it's revealed that Pong Krell has fallen to the dark side, and he's been planning to meet up with Count Dooku, aka Darth Tyrannus, so that he can formally join the bad guys. He was also personally sabotaging the Republic's war effort to retake Umbara, all because he has a personal hatred of the clone troopers. He was sending the clones off on missions that they would intentionally lose in the hopes that they would die. He's ultimately killed by some random clone trooper named Dogma. You can kind of see him a little bit right here. Now, that's the Cliff Notes version, of course, but I digress. Now, what if I told you that the whole plot was different from what actually happened? What actually happened was this. Pong Krell was intentionally sending the clones off to die because he knew that the clones would be used to enact Order 66, kill all the Jedi, and establish the Galactic Empire. Yes, really, Pong Krell figured out Palpatine's whole plan before it could be set in motion. Him falling to the dark side and going to meet up with Tyrannus was all a ruse so that he could get close to Palpatine and kill him. The only reason he didn't tell anybody else was because he knew nobody would believe him. I mean, at this point in the timeline, Palpatine was a beloved senator, and so who was going to believe Pong Krell when he said that Palpatine was a Sith Lord, am I right? Let alone Palpatine was Darth Sidious. Either way, all this was altered from the original texts by Dave Filoni. More on what those original texts are later. And I really have to get this out right now, or else it'll impact the quality of the video. Fuck all the clones! Fuck every single one of these rat bastards! They are the reason the entire setting has become a shithole by the time of the original trilogy. Why the fuck are they all portrayed sympathetically? They don't deserve sympathy. Not a fucking ounce of it. They deserve nothing but contempt, disdain, mockery, derision, spite, and scorn. They were made with the express purpose of killing the protectors of the galaxy. That's what their fucking purpose was. Not helping the Republic win the Clone Wars, but to kill the Jedi. They're not even human or Mandalorian or whatever. They were made on a goddamn assembly line in a goddamn lab on a goddamn ocean planet. They're no different than the Separatist droids. Every clone ever deserves to be wiped out as penance for what they helped accomplish. No exceptions. I don't care if there are good ones like Rex or Cody or whoever. Just kill them all and we can remember them as the mindless minions who helped bring about Age of Darkness upon the galaxy, because that's exactly what they fucking are, and you can't change my mind. And if they don't deserve death, then they at least deserve to rot away in a slum on some imperial city planet with no food, no money, no friends or family, and just be jeered at by every passerby without a moment of rest. Honestly, if I were living in the Star Wars galaxy in that time period, I'd spit on that clone, kick that clone in the nutsack, gather a crowd of people to do the same, before ultimately doing the galaxy a favor by throwing that clone off an overpass. Fuck it, all of them. And I know you're going to say, oh, but they had a control chip in their brains. They didn't have a choice. No, they did have a choice. The choice to blow their brains out for being clones and built to serve evil. All right? But did any of them do that? No. And who cares if they didn't have the control chip to begin with? They ultimately would have killed the Jedi anyway, because as products of the dark side and products of an evil man, the dark side would have overpowered them and made them kill the Jedi anyway. Either that, or they simply would have done it anyway by taking advantage of their bullshit bonds with the Jedi. Hell, that's exactly what happened when Rex almost killed Ahsoka. He wasn't resisting the control chip. He was pretending to resist it so Ahsoka could let her guard down and he could kill her easier. So in summary, fuck the clones for being no better than the Death Star. Fuck Rex for being full of bullshit. Fuck Cody for being useless. Fuck Dogma for killing the unsung hero of the show, Pong Krell. Fuck this one clone for making like clone Twi'lek hybrid babies. Because the last thing that the Star Wars needs is for clones to be fucking up the galactic gene pool. Fuck Palpatine for making the clones and being the Lucifer of Star Wars. Fuck the Kaminoans for making these piles of filth. Fuck the Imperial Troopers for wearing armor similar to these fucks. Fuck Dave Filoni for continuing to rewrite the Star Wars lore, specifically to make it more pro-clone and disparaging the name of Pong Krell. And fuck all of the clone simps for loving them in spite of the fact that they are obviously mass murdering machines. And frankly, all evil and its byproducts need to be purged from the galaxy. Palpatine and all his cronies need to die for being evil. That's obvious. And yes, that includes Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. Anakin had every chance to resist the dark side and not give in to it, but he did it anyway. Death is a suitable punishment for all Darksiders and former Darksiders. He doesn't deserve redemption at all. None of them do. Redemption should be absolutely impossible for anyone who's turned evil. Darth Vader deserves to go down in history in the same way here, like frickin' Hideki Tojo goes down in history. He was the right-hand man for the guy who plunged the galaxy into darkness and continued to help him out after it screwed him out of an arm, his legs, his wife and kids, his wife that he killed, by the way. And speaking of his kids, Luke and Leia need to die too because they're products of Anakin's sperm, meaning they too will inevitably fall to the dark side. Luke was already showing dark side tendencies when he was negotiating at Jabba's palace and when he was fighting Vader on the Death Star too. So we might as well kill him then and there. And Leia even turned evil in one of the Star Wars Infinities comics. See, look, you can see her right here. And yes, I know that this comic is like non-canon Elseworld type of shit, but it's as I always say, if it could have happened, it'll surely happen. And Han Solo and Chewbacca also deserve death for being petty criminals. I don't care what they smuggled, or that they ended up joining the rebels anyway, or that they were good guys with hearts of gold. No, they are criminals. And all criminals deserve death. Boba Fett is a contract killer, so he's a criminal too. And a clone on top of that, so he should die too. C-3PO should die for being built by Anakin. Finn should die for being an Empire 2.0 soldier. And no, I don't care if he defected. And Rey should die for being Palpatine's granddaughter. So I'll repeat myself. All evil and its byproducts need to be purged from the galaxy. Alright, everyone, I'm sorry about that. I had to get that off, or else I would have, burst later at some other time. Rant over. Now, I briefly touched on this a little bit earlier, so I'll elaborate here. Dave Filoni rewrote the Star Wars lore and history so he could make the clones seem more sympathetic. In actuality, Dave Filoni isn't the only man or even the first man to do this. It was, and I'm not lying when I say this here, it was George Lucas. Yes, really. The creator of Star Wars, right here, as you can see right there, the creator of Star Wars is also Star Wars' biggest revisionist. And here's how I know this. Now, a little known fact about George is that his parents are actually archaeologists. His parents uncovered a bunch of ruins that was basically like a giant time capsule, and it contained all these books and journals and all this drawings and all that kind of stuff, basically telling them all there is to know about the Star Wars galaxy. Yes, really, the Star Wars galaxy is a real galaxy in the real universe. Now, you're probably asking, like, why wasn't this shit ever reported to by other academic scholars? Well, obviously, it's because nobody would believe them. They would have become laughingstocks if they did, and even if they showed them the ruins, they would have thought it was just some elaborate prank or something like that. So what they did is instead keep it to themselves and told them to baby George here as bedtime stories, and George would go on to make them as movies when he grew up. In fact, the Indiana Jones movies he co-created with Steven Spielberg were based off of a, admittedly very romanticized version of, a real-life colleague of his parents. And I know this is all true because it was chronicled in the Star Wars fan film, Star Wars Origins, that you can watch right here on YouTube if you want to. The only big difference in this film is that they changed the name of George's parents. The Nazis show up when they never ever did. The Indiana Jones inspiration isn't in the movie, and the ruins are revealed to be a Star Destroyer that activates and rockets George Sr. away with it. And don't let the fact that this is a fan film, confuse you or anything. This is actually what happened, and it's only embellished with these differences to make it seem as a harmless fan work when it's actually trying to tell you the truth. Now, when George actually got around to adapting the stories, he actually adapted them out of order because he didn't have the special effects back in the day to adapt what would be episodes 1 through 3. He adapted episodes 4 through 6 because they would have had the effects and budget to pull that shit off, as well as he changed parts of the plot around to his liking. Like, for example, he's like making Luke and Leia and Luke's sister being the same character. That's not in the text at all. Luke's sister was a completely different character. I forgot what her name was, but yeah, different character. So, and yeah, Lucas just rolled with it from there. He only started making a lot of the changes when he got to episodes 1 through 3, because that's when he started running into story beats that he really did not like. A really good example of that is that supposedly the Republic's decadence allowed Palpatine to rise to power when that was not the original case in the original text. He also nerfed the power levels of the Jedi significantly. Like, in the original text, the Jedi were more closer to the Saiyans from Dragon Ball than how they are portrayed in the movies. He also made the Jedi, like, a lot more merciful in the original text than they were in the original texts. Like, they were more, like, the Jedi had similar views to evil that I espoused earlier, albeit less shouty. Now, George had all the EU writers keep these texts on hand so that they could turn them into, like, books and games and, like, comics and whatnot over the years. Yeah, so everyone from, like Timothy Zahn, Troy Denning, Karen Travis, Drew Karpyshyn, Chris Avallone, Henry Gilroy, Hayden Blackman, all the others, they all got these stories from the journals. They just changed what happened in the books accordingly to make everything, like, fit better with what happened in the films. So And yes, everyone who's ever written a Star Wars story has seen these things, and they're all under legal binding to not talk about them. These original texts don't exist anymore because they were all destroyed when Kathleen Kennedy got control of Lucasfilm, and after George stole Star Wars to Disney. They only existed as images and translations on a website I used to frequent called thetruthbehindstarwars.net. But that website actually got taken down in 2019, and all the images and all the images and whatnot with it. So good luck finding any scrap of evidence that that website existed when it most certainly did. Like, you see it? Look at this shit. Look at this. Look, Disney scrubbed all of it. So like, what the hell? Like, Disney paid off webarchive.org to scrub all the web pages from it. So now that I've firmly educated all of you, please, I beg you, I urge you, and I'm pleading here, spread the word about the truth about Star Wars' clones, its morality, and its true history. And you can help by just going out onto the street and just saying it out loud. We need to show the light on all this stuff, especially Pong Krell, because his name has been besmirched for far too long. Thank you all for giving me an ear. Have a nice day. Like, comment, subscribe. God bless. And I actually might do more videos in the future, so stay on the lookout for that.